victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
We start with breaking news in President Trump's ongoing global trade war. The U.S. is now exempting some of the most popular goods imported to the U.S. from the president's sweeping tariffs. In a notice from the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, electronics, including smartphones and computers, are now excluded from the tariffs. Those items are among the most heavily imported from China, even as the two nations entrench themselves in a tariff standoff. The Trump administration hitting China on Wednesday with a whopping 145% tariff on its exports to the U.S. China retaliating with a 125% tariff on U.S. goods. CNN's Kevin Liptak is in West Palm Beach, Florida, near where President Trump is spending his weekend. Kevin, how did the White House decide to exempt these popular products?
Well, it's a good question, and it's not one that we have an answer to at this hour. The White House hasn't come out to explain exactly what the president's decision-making was here. And this notice that appeared on the official government register didn't show up until very late last night. And so in a lot of ways, companies are still digesting some of this information. But, you know, after so much ratcheting up of those tariffs over the past week, this is the first sign of any kind of easing, particularly when it comes to China, because almost all of the products that are now exempted from some of these tariffs are products that are manufactured in China. It includes smartphones, laptop computers, transistors, flat panel monitors, hard drives, semiconductors, all products that are, for the most part, not manufactured in the United States. And what this could mean is that American consumers could be spared some of the higher prices that would be facing those items if the 145% tariff on China were to go into effect. It could also be a major boon for certain companies. I'm thinking like Apple, like Samsung, companies that produce the bulk of their products in China. And this really does kind of punctuate what has been a whipsaw week for the president when it comes to these tariffs. He had that Liberation Day announcement. He reversed some of the tariffs. He ratcheted up the tariffs on China, but now we're hearing that many of the products that the U.S. imports from that country could now be spared. And I think it all lends to the sense, one, of uncertainty when it comes to the president's tariff policy. You know, we've been hearing for weeks that exemptions would not be included in this, but also the idea that there could now be flexibility included in what the president is doing. So this is something that we will learn much more about in the coming hours, but it is quite a significant development as well.
Yeah, it's been a couple of days of essentially a game of chicken of who will blink first, and we may be getting our answer right here. Kevin Liptak, thank you.
So, yeah, CNN probably wishes President Trump was blinking first, but I'm not pretty sure that's not what's happening. So, welcome to a Saturday show. This is going to be a little bit different because I had posted something on X earlier today, and at this point, it's becoming boring, it's becoming routine, it's becoming a joke in regards to how the Democrats are approaching everything. So I'm going to try and begin to keep the Democrat and liberal media BS to a minimum and use them in the 10 spot when I do a 10 spot to show you some of the craziness that they're saying. And today is not unlike any other day. Yes, they had their share of bat poop crazy stuff. But like I've told you many a times, living here in South Florida, we can see hurricanes and how they track and where they come. And it gives us, days and days and days in advance, we'll be able to see when something is approaching the shore. So I'm telling you right now, and I cannot give you any financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. It's full disclaimer. But I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. And then you can just start looking around yourself. Because today is Saturday. The markets don't open again until Monday morning. Correct? Correct. This news just hit today. Now start looking at the hurricane forecast right now. I want you to be like a storm chaser. But in this regard, be a money chaser. Not a money changer, a money chaser. You just found out the storm warning. You literally just got the daily weather report for the stock market. You now know 100% that the tariffs are going to exempt cell phones, computers, tablets, yada, yada, yada. It's going to exempt all those things. So, without having a crystal ball, but having some idea of a brain, I want you to surmise, what do you think might happen Monday morning? What do you think may be happening in the futures market right now? That came out this morning, I think at about 10 o'clock. Yeah, we're gonna hold off on computers, the expensive stuff. We're still gonna hit you on the Temu Alibaba crap. But, the cell phones, tablets, computers. In the chat, tell me what you think may happen on Monday morning. Because it was so funny. Somebody said to me, I get this a couple times, and I'm sure SV and the guys get it in there about, I'll get to that part, but they said, hey, something you do is from China. And I'm like, do you realize the thing you were typing the comment from is from China? And so now the guy you voted for, the guy I voted for, the guy I support, the guy you support, just said, you know what? The smartphones, the computers, and the tablets, they're going to be okay. So what do you think's going to happen sometime about Monday morning at about 9:01? I'd love to get your opinion. Yeah. And it may even be late before then, because I'm sure there are some people who put in orders over the week or this weekend are like, hey man, get in on Apple, get in on this, do that, NVIDIA, get in. I can't speak for them. I can't speak for you, but I'm saying the reason why I wanted to show this to you, because it ran on a Saturday morning show on CNN where probably the viewership was this much. And I haven't seen it played yet again. And I'm thinking to myself, how many people didn't see this. And then they wonder, hey, we never understand what's going to happen. We don't figure it out until it's too late. And then, oh, everybody else got in on it. And I'm thinking, that's a storm warning. You just heard the forecast for Monday morning. Now, of course, as we know, sometimes forecasts can be wrong. Sometimes the forecast that say it's going to hit here in South Florida, it ends up hitting, up in the panhandle. So you never know. There's no such thing pretty much as a sure thing. But what we're going to do? Oh, we're going to push some chips in, chips that we could afford to lose. Never want to gamble. You always want to gamble with house money. You don't want to, don't risk something you can't, it's what, April 10th, 12th, rent's coming up, you got a car payment to make. Don't be stupid here. But instead of maybe, this week's coffee at Starbucks, or maybe this week's groceries where you wanted to splurge a little bit. If you got a little bit of extra cheddar sitting around, might want to think about this. I'm just saying. Full disclaimer, I am not a stockbroker anymore, and I am not a financial advisor, but from what you've seen, the volatility that you've seen this week, use your own noggin. Use your own noggin. And then the other thing you have to wonder is, why did he release that information this morning? Why didn't they tell everybody that yesterday when everybody was looking? What exactly was the reasoning for just disclosing it today? Well, do with that what you will. So that today being Saturday, and I'm like, what's going on here? It's 4,000 points up. Where should I get it in at? I can't tell you that. If I do that and something happens, I get sued. I'm just saying, or don't do anything. Here's something else I've done with people is have an imaginary fund and say, listen, if I had $1,000, what would I put it on? And then watch what happens over the next 2 or 3 days. Not just Monday, but, just see what happens. That way you can start playing at home. There's some apps out there that you can play with, just like Monopoly money and say, I'm going to buy this many stocks of Apple and this and that. And that way you can start getting your feet wet. It doesn't cost you a dime. All it does is cost you time. And you can have some fun at the same time. And it's completely risk-free. And that way you can just start being Warren Buffett tech and just like pretending to do stuff. It's fun. It actually is fun. You don't have to have the stress of trading and wondering you're going to make your money right back. But just to be careful. So in other words, I feel that come Monday, there's going to be some numbers pushed around. And you can check today. You can put in like Dow Jones Future, and they'll tell you like what's going on right now. Or you can check gold, and gold is 24/7. You can see what happens. So I can even show you gold right now. Let's see what gold did after they heard that news. See this, and I'm not even holding on to any crystal ball or anything here. Let me just show you what happened today, or thus far today with gold. Up 77 points, 2.44% today. That's almost 2.5% on your money today. You probably have a CD someplace that hopes to get 3 or 4% in a year. This went up 2.5% today. So, that's all I'm saying. That's your financial stuff for the day. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I definitely don't want to get myself in trouble. And I just saw that bit of news and I go, let me just tell people, here's the Dow Jones Future. And this is what they're, basically forecasting for Monday. I'm sorry. Freudian slip. Forecasting for Monday thus far at 1.62. And we're seeing things, move around. So in any event, you'll see. All right, in any words, let's go ahead and move forward. Thank you guys for coming here on a Saturday. You got so many different things you can do down here. It's absolutely stunningly beautiful, bright sunshine outside, cool, not too hot, great day. So wherever you are, thank you for coming in. So let's get to what I consider some news to talk about today. Let's go. Now, before I play this, I just want to say this. In my headset, I hear it differently. So if you hear this and you say, hey man, the sound on this really sucks, I will cut it and jump ahead. I don't have any problem if people say it doesn't sound good. They keep doing these press gaggles on Air Force One. And just to let you know a little sound man stuff, the ambience and background noise on a plane is very, very close to the frequency of the human voice. And so even though you try to modulate and take stuff out, it can still sound like utter crap. And I don't know why in 2025 they don't have some way to do something with the sound on the airplane, but I'm not involved in avionics. I have no idea. But I'm going to play this, and I'll let it play for a minute. If it sounds like crap, let me know. I'll cut it right away. So this is President Trump on Air Force One after his physical, coming back down here to Palm Beach.
From Walter Reed. Land with you. I think well. Every test you can imagine. I was here for a long time. The yearly physical. I think I did well. I think they're releasing the report on Sunday. Doctors, highly respected doctors, great guys, great, amazing place actually.
Did they give you any suggestions or advice of anything you need to change up?
A little bit.
So can you hear? Let me know if you can hear. I'm not seeing anybody say AI can. I tried AI. Let me know if you guys can hear this, because if it's like 6 minutes long and if it sounds like crap, it's funny. It depends on what you listen to. Somebody says it sounds like crap. Somebody says it actually sound good. I'll play it. You guys tell me, Barry, cut it. It sounds like crap.
Overall, I think I felt I was in very good shape. Good heart, a good soul, very good soul. And I wanted to be a little different than Biden. I took a cognitive test. And I don't know what to tell you other than I got every answer right. I took just a lot of different tests having to do with the heart, having to do with other things. And I think you'll find that they're going to release the report on Sunday. I think you'll find it very good.
Can you tell us what the cognitive test is? That been on person camera TV?
I think it's a pretty well-known test. Whatever it is, I got it all right. As I've done about 4 times before, and I'm taking it.
All right, so everybody says cut it. It sounds like crap. I tried. I put it through some AI stuff and tried it. So let me go ahead and spend a couple minutes, and I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. He said that he passed everything with flying colors. He said his in terms of physical. Then he said in the cognitive part of it, he aced it. He didn't get anything wrong. He got everything right. And he did something that Joe Biden wouldn't do. He actually took a cognitive test. He actually then said they asked him a little bit about the whole tariff things. And he's like, it is what it is. We're not backing down. Then there was another question about, which this was an interesting question. I tried to get this, is because one of the people on the airplane asked him, what are you going to do about this guy that got deported, went to the wrong place, he's not there anymore? Are you going to, Supreme Court said you had to bring him back. At which point he goes, the Supreme Court said that? Almost like testing the guy. And he goes, I'll do whatever the Supreme Court says. Which doesn't necessarily say I'm bringing him back. He's like, I'll do whatever the Supreme Court says. That's what he actually said. And the guy said, and this was the most interesting part of this, and I had like headphones on and had it zoomed in. He said, what about the lower courts? He basically looked at the guy and went, what about them? I don't care about them. And so now you have your answer. You people, Judge Bo Asperger and everybody else, the President of the United States just said, I'll do what the Supreme Court says. The rest of you can go pound sand. Now, that's my words. I'm not putting words in the president's mouth, but he looked at the reporter right in his eyes and like, I don't care what the lower court says. So, there you have your answer. And the rest was the usual fluffity-duffity questions I just wanted you to hear. And he's not going to listen to the district courts. It's not going to happen. So, sorry if you guys are upset, but he already feels and justified that the lower courts don't have the authority to challenge the President of the United States. And when you look at the SCOTUS law or ruling, the SCOTUS ruling says you can effectuate the return of this guy. And when I went through that yesterday and said everything about it, that means he can make a phone call, see what he can do. See what he can do to get him transferred to another country. Not back here. So everybody who's telling you he needs to bring him back to America, they're absolutely lying. That guy is not coming back here. You can count on that better than any stock on Monday. He's not coming back here. They may deport him to Chile or Portugal. Who knows? They may try to help him get out of El Salvador. But even then, at this point, he's in the hands of a government of another country, and President Trump can't make them give him back. So he's done. He's done for everybody in the liberal media can cry all they want, but ain't nothing happening. Nothing's going to happen. So that is done. So I'm going to skip that part because it sounds so bad. I tried. It's like 7 minutes long. So let me get into something else that happened. This is going to be... All right, let me go.
I want them to flourish, but they can't have a nuclear
It's going to
weapon.
finish.
Thank you, everybody.
That no one is questioning his mental acuity or fitness to serve is beyond wild to me, right? Like the fact that they sat around, called Joe Biden, sleepy Joe Biden. And as I said before, at least you could sleep at night because you didn't have to worry about your 401k disappearing overnight. You didn't have to worry about these allegations of fake invasions. You didn't have to worry about the cost of food just skyrocketing or skyrocketing cost of all of your electronics. You know, the fact that Apple was flying in planes of iPhones before the tariffs hit, like this is crazy work for no reason. So, you know, I just hope that people remember, because seemingly they got amnesia the first time. And so you've got opportunities to vote. And I will tell you that every single special election we've had, Democrats are swinging no less than 15 points. But honestly, we should be swinging 30 and 40 points because of the level of incompetence and harm that this administration is bringing upon all of us.
So you may be thinking to yourself, Barry, why are you showing this idiot again? And I'm concerned. I am very, very concerned. Sheldon Daniels, who is going to be challenging Jasmine Crockett, was supposed to do an interview with me yesterday, and I was going to record it and then broadcast it today. 3 times now, he hasn't shown up. And I don't want to be overboard here and hyperbolic. But 3 times with crazy answers, he hasn't shown up. Yesterday, we logged on. We were supposed to record at 10 o'clock. And I go, great, we're all set. Let's go. You sound level fine. Let's do this. And how much time do you have? I got about 5 minutes. I'm like, dude, it's going to take me 5 minutes to introduce you. Oh, okay. Well, maybe we should reschedule. So we reschedule it again. For 4 o'clock yesterday. I even told you guys we're going to record him at 4 o'clock and then we'll broadcast him. No call, no show. Ashley tried to get back in touch with him and he's like, I'm doing something on X and I can't really get away right now. Dude, you had a commitment. You have to get away. And it concerns me because there are some things, and I think he found out I was going to ask him. There are some things that he has to answer. And right now I'm concerned he's going to get blown out by Jasmine Crockett. Right now I'm concerned until this stuff is put to bed that Sheldon Daniels ain't going to cut it. And I'm not saying he can't win. I'm not saying he's not a viable candidate. What I am saying is until this stuff is actually answered to the satisfaction of MAGA, he's probably not going to get President Trump's endorsement. He's in Texas. He's probably not going to get Ted Cruz's endorsement. And I can tell you, until he answers it to me, I'm not going to endorse him. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people who he would need to help push and amplify him are not going to endorse him. I'm a small fry. I don't have that big of a voice. But I think I have enough of a voice, especially with you guys and how you can disseminate things, is that, Sheldon, you need to step up your game. You're going to be going up against somebody who's a heavy hitter. Jasmine Crockett, as nutty as she is, as much of a crook as she may be found out to be, she is a heavy hitter in this Democrat Party right now. You are running up against not Jasmine Crockett. You will be running up against the machine. And so you need to make sure that your game's not good. You need to make sure you got the top level game. You need to make sure that there's nothing that could dent you. Because she's going to come for you and she's going to squash you like a roach if you're not on your game. So let me tell you what I was going to question him on in case you guys don't know. It's kind of embarrassing. Let me just hit this. All right. So I found these post on X from Sheldon Daniels. And as you can see looking at this, these texts here are from 2021 and 2023 and 2020. Hope you can see them on the screen. This is a guy who's trying to court MAGA. This is a guy who's trying to get us to help him get elected. So this one here, they actually stop when, and he's talking about all kinds of anti-white stuff, BLM, and we're not talking ancient history. We're talking 2021, 2023. So you can read, they'll actually stop when laws get passed to end white privilege, systemic racism, and the war on black people in American society and politics. Stop acting like you can't understand a simple concept while at the same time pretending to be smart. Don't know who he was talking to, but I'm like, whoa, dude, you just went there? You posted something like that? Okay, we all have a past. 2020. Let's say things were different back then. You realize now, right? You realize. Then 2021 shows up. We still have no policies in place to address any of the manifestations of institutional racism within our criminal justice system, our economy, or in our educational system. My question would have been, Sheldon, what has happened since 2020 that made you change? Let me rephrase that. It couldn't have, because you came back in 2021 and said the same crap. All right, so 2021, we're talking 4 years ago. So we'll give you a play on that, depending on his answer. Then the last one at the bottom, which is the one that really hit me. We don't hate capitalism. We hate that a small group got a gigantic head start on the world through imperialism, racism, and sabotage. I'm going to leave that up for a second so you guys can see that. I had planned, if he had done the interview, I'm like, dude, this was February of 2023, 2 years ago. What the hell? What the hell were you thinking then? And if it's not what you think right now, tell me how you made the metamorphosis that you've gone through to now all of a sudden in 24 months be like, hey, MAGA, 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 America first. What happened? And that answer, which he's going to have to answer to some of the bigger networks, he's going to have to answer that on Fox should they bring him on. He's definitely going to have to answer that in a debate down the road should he get up against Jasmine Crockett. That stuff is sitting there. You guys can look it up yourself. And so I didn't want to sandbag him. I told you, I got some questions. And nothing am I saying right now is denigrating him. These are actual posts that he put up that are still up probably if you search them. So, Mr. Daniels, since you're not here, maybe you can, send me an email or send Ashley an email and tell me what the hell this is. I have no answer for any of you because he didn't answer to me. Because that would have been my question. Dude, tell me how you can fit into an America First ideology with that kind of thinking. As a black man, going up against Jasmine Crockett, who's got, they'll throw $20 million at her. They are going to squish you like a bug. And you don't have the foundation right now to stand on. No one's going to get behind you until you can figure out how to answer this. And so he had posted something, and this is what his answer was. As it began getting exposed, he posted this. I'm sorry about falling for the BLM okie dokie a few years ago. Tensions were high, lines were drawn. Looking back, I feel dumb. Looking ahead, I feel stronger than ever. America first. Great. Fantastic. So let me know, you guys who have seen his answer. Let me put it back up. And you saw what he posted in 2023. This was in 2025, this response. You tell me, without getting in the thick of things and basically having some sort of very strong mea culpa of telling you and people like you across the country, I am America first now. All of a sudden, since February of 2025, when I hated white people and I blamed you for being systemic, but now I see the light. I didn't have a chance to ask him that. He didn't show up 3 times. So, Sheldon, if you want to come back on, I'm sure Ashley will respond to you by text. But now you understand this is what we need to know. Unless you guys tell me right now that no, it's okay. He saw the light in 2025 on March 11th. Remember this post here. It wasn't like there was anything before then. This is March. Let me scroll down so you know when it was. March 11th, 2025. He saw the light 30 days ago. I'm sorry about falling for the BLM okie dokie a few years back. Tensions were high, lines were drawn. Looking back, I feel dumb. Looking ahead, I feel stronger than ever. That ain't gonna cut it to me. A month ago? You're telling me as recently as March 10th, before you did this little post, that then you decided to come clean? Seriously? Who did you vote for in 2024? Prove it. Prove that you voted for Trump in 2024. This was March 2025. Prove who you voted for back then. And then tell us why you said, I'm telling you what I would have asked him. I'm pretty sure you guys expect people who are MAGA to have been there, if not from the very beginning, but at least not last month. At least not a couple months ago. And then tell me we have a viable candidate to unseat Jasmine Crockett who didn't, flip a month ago. Otherwise, we're going to see that witch back in Congress. You feel comfortable donating to Sheldon Daniels? I don't. I don't feel comfortable donating to him. And again, maybe I'm being over the top. But Sheldon, you got Ashley's email, you got her text number, you can respond. You have to put on your big boy pants and make sure you show up. Because if you don't show up for an interview that you have committed to and just blow it off because something else floats your boat, sorry. There's been many interviews. I'm like, Ashley, do we need to do this? I'm tired. I'm not sure if got to be there. Yes, I have also rescheduled But I've called, she's called, and we've, fixed some things up. Come on, Sheldon. You got to stand up, big man. You got to bring the big boy pants. You can't be mad at me. If you want to convince the MAGA world, you're going to have to bring it. And that's all I got to say. So I'm going to take some of your comments here. Let's see here. Daniels is not reliable. We need a candidate with integrity. And I'm not questioning, just to let you know, I'm not questioning his integrity. I don't know the man, so I can't do that. What I'm saying is that stuff that he wrote needs to be explained profusely. I think. Can't someone else take his place? Sure, somebody could run down in Texas. Don't waste your time and our time on Sheldon. Lose his number quick. So he's like, lose his number. Nope, doesn't work for me. He's Crockett without the dress and the wig. Barry, I'll run if I could be good. Move on. We cannot let Jasmine back in. Someone's got to be down there. I mean, I'm dumbfounded. I'm absolutely dumbfounded. Isn't he the one that caught on video that he was a Democrat playing as a Republican? I'm not really sure. Haven't seen that. He's got a lot of stuff, but yeah, it does. It makes me question his motive. Sounds like a Democrat posing as a Republican. Somebody's asking about veteran biker. That's tomorrow. Veteran biker is tomorrow. Sheldon was live on a podcast earlier today. Great. Did they ask him the questions? Did they ask him the questions about all this stuff? Or was it like, fluffy nutter? My problem is that this is what I look at. I look at this is MAGA. And we've been bamboozled, and so many people have decided to jump on at the last moment, do coattails and stuff. I can tell you right now, there is absolutely no way he's going to get President Trump's endorsement with all that stuff in his back record. His inner circle will be like, stay away, stay far away. This is dangerous. It's some guy out of the blue, nobody's ever heard of, and vetting something like this, and tell you need to just lay bare. You need to just come out and tell people, whatever you need, Sheldon. I'll take Jasmine over a fraud. Wow. Yes, he's an Army veteran, and he is an attorney. Both, exactly. He's not MAGA. So we know what kind of nutbag she is, and he doesn't have a chance. No. He's going to need so much money to go against that Democrat machine. It's going to be completely crazy what they end up doing, because she's like their little darling right now, even though she got caught. And maybe his chances that she ends up going to jail. If she goes to jail, maybe that will help. I'm not really sure, but what are we going to do? And so again, in closing on that segment, Sheldon, would love to have you back on if you're prepared to answer everybody. And I would give people in the audience the opportunity to ask you questions too, because it's not just me, it's this community who is very engaged, and I'm talking directly to you, Sheldon, if you see this. This community is very engaged, very forgiving, but you got to answer the questions, bro. There's a reason why you ducked me but went on some podcast today, because you knew what was coming, and that even bodes less, man. That bodes even less. So, wow. All right. So, be careful. I'm saying that to both of you, both the community and to you, Sheldon. Be careful, because at this point, if we're thinking these things and we think those things could take you down, then Jasmine Crockett's going to take you apart. She's going to rip you to shreds. She has the same information. She lives near you, so she's got even more information. She's probably talked to your homies in the hood. She's going to go way back on you. See, she's an open book. We already know she's a nut job. We already know she's crazy. She's going to expose you, and I don't know how you're going to be able to go against her. I mean, it'd be like the best of two shit pies, and I don't eat shit pie. I feel sorry for the people of Texas who have to choose between one shit pie and the other shit pie. All right, let's move on. You guys can make that call. All right, if you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. When's the last time you checked on your home title? That's the legal proof you own your home. If you're like me, the answer is never. Except I can't say that because I always check because I'm in real estate. Sometimes the scripts they give you just don't fit with the person who's reading them. Having bought and sold over 1,000 pieces of property, I know inherently how to look up and make sure the property is in the right person's name. The problem is, in today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and get your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document. It's called a quitclaim deed. And they use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and boom, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using equity or even sell your property. You won't even know it's happened until you get a collection notice or a foreclosure notice or a default notice. That's why you need to stop what you're doing today and find out today if you're already a victim. Now understand, many people have written to me and say, hey, listen, I don't need them. I could do it myself. Yes, you absolutely can do yourself. You can also clean your pool yourself. You can cut your lawn yourself. This is a service. I wouldn't cut my hair myself, but at the same time, you could. This is a service that will help you find out if any shenanigans have gone on with your title. Use promo code Barry at HomeTitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of the $1 Million Triple Lock Protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, or if any fraud should happen. They'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HomeTitleLock.com and use promo code Barry. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Barry. And I can tell you specifically, because of all the deals that I've done, and property after property, you would not believe how much this actually happens. Usually with elderly people, because they find out if there's heirs or if the heirs are out of town. There's so many scammers out there, and people are getting desperate. And I've actually purchased property where we've had to do a title lawsuit to basically cleanse title because people have put all kinds of documents on it. Even contractors will drop something on your title. So you have to be very, very careful with that asset that most people only buy 1 or 2 times a year. So be careful. If you know how to do it yourself, you can do it yourself. But like I said, you can also do your lawn and clean your pool and clean your house yourself. But some of you, like we do, have people who do that for us as well. And it's really inexpensive to make sure you have that kind of peace in mind. All right, I'll be right back and we'll continue.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
See, I forgot, and I had a video ready to play of Sheldon, not to beat a dead horse, but, give him his props. I want to play this.
Administration is bringing upon all of us.
Jasmine Crockett is quick to call the January 6 defendants violent criminals who deserve to be locked back up even after being pardoned. But clearly, this isn't about law and order. This is about power. It's about punishing political opponents while letting bad actors on her own side off the hook. If Jasmine wants to talk about who deserves to be locked up, then let's talk about the real bad actors walking free today. Let's talk about the politicians and the bureaucrats who lied about COVID to strip Americans of their rights and destroy businesses and silence dissent. Let's talk about the elites who waged war on retail traders when everyday Americans dared to win in the stock market. Let's talk about the operatives who rigged elections against the will of the people, manipulating rules, suppressing information, changing definitions, and interfering in our democracy. The corrupt insiders who laundered taxpayer money overseas, funneling billions through shady deals while Americans struggle. The people connected to the government who have mysteriously disappeared whistleblowers who spoke out against corruption. The J6 committee members who doctored evidence, lied to the public, and ran a sham investigation for political theater. And let's not forget Jasmine herself, who called for Elon Musk to be taken down, a blatant incitement of political violence. So Jasmine and her allies, love to scream about threats to democracy while ignoring the destruction that they've caused, that they continue to cause. They celebrate violent riots when it's their side, and they ignore crimes when it benefits them, and they push for the imprisonment of political opponents while excusing their own corruption. So Jasmine's hypocrisy is on full display here. If she truly cared about justice, she'd be calling for accountability across the board, and not just for the people she disagrees with politically. But that's not what this is about. It's about control, and the people of TX30 and the people of America are waking up to it. Now, I wake up this morning to go for a run, and the first thing I see is Jasmine Crockett running her mouth, again, saying all the wrong things. It's time for TX30 to rise up. It's time to put America first. Jasmine Crockett is for they, them. Sheldon Daniels is for you.
All right, so that was Sheldon. He made a video. TX30 is the 30th district of Texas. That's what he's talking about. I'm going to let you guys make up your mind. I wanted to make sure I included that video because I didn't want it to be a bash session on him. But I'm going to leave it there. Sheldon, you know how to get a hold of us.
Hi, I'm Christine Holm, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. If you plan on traveling, we need your help to prevent delays and to prove your identity. Get a real ID. Starting May 7th, you will need a real ID to travel by air or to visit federal buildings in the United States. These IDs keep our country safe because they help prevent fraud and they enhance security. Please do your part to protect our country. Go today and don't delay. To learn more, go to dhs.gov/real-ID. Thank you.
All right. Here we got another issue. Here we go again with people saying, I don't believe in this. This is wrong. And I'm thinking to myself, here we go again. People don't know how to win. So let me just, before I continue, you guys in the chat, put in like a 1 if you have a real ID, a 2 if you don't have a real ID, and a 3 if you have no idea what real ID actually is. Because let me be the breaker of news to you. The real ID thing is a law from 2005. It was put in place 20 years ago. This isn't a new thing, and it amazes me, people like Robin and I, like, Robin, you got that star on your driver's license? She's like, yeah, me too. What are these people talking about? I have no idea what the hell is wrong. We have had real ID in Florida for quite some time. And I can tell you, because we don't even know, it was completely painless when we renewed our licenses. It wasn't like we went in and, hey, can you bring in all these documents? Robin, make sure you got your, your marriage license and your birth certificate. Huh? No. We didn't even realize we already had it. It was that painless. And so I'm wondering, what the hell are people screaming about? I'm not even talking about the people on the left. I'm talking about the people on the right. Again, conservatives not knowing how to win. And I'm looking at the people in the chat. Those of you who are watching this on replay, it's mostly ones, overwhelmingly ones. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the hell is wrong with the Republicans out there? Are some of these people being paid under the table by China or Russia? Or I'm dumbfounded. And I'm like, I don't want to show my driver's license because of privacy reasons, but it's right there at the very top. There's a yellow star. Never had a problem. Never. Didn't have to bring in all kinds of documentation. I don't know, maybe your governors in your state need to call Ron DeSantis. Hey, man, how'd you do this? How did you make it so seamless? Well, we already had the damn data. We already knew who the people were. All they were doing was re-registering and renewing it. Look at 111. I have no idea. It says we had to bring in documents when we lived in Idaho back in 2020. Oh, man. Yeah, exactly. I have a star, and I didn't even know what it was, Robin. And that's not Robin, my Robin. That's another Robin. I didn't even know what it was because I had to go. I had to go Google it. What is Real ID? And it's like, oh, Real ID, blah blah blah. And you'll know if you have Real ID if you got the gold star on your license. I went, oh, I already have it. So once again, I don't understand. I really don't understand the mentality. I understand the nuts and the Democrat Party because they don't want any ID. I don't understand people. I saw people comparing it to the Patriot Act, all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, what are you people talking about? We've had it for years down here. Yeah, gold star is a real ID. No big deal. And yes, I understand every state is different, but if every state is different, it can't be that much different. They're not making you like jump through crazy hoops, I wouldn't think. In any event, this has now become such a big thing on the right, and it just makes me sit back and think something's really wrong here. Something's really wrong. Either the information is not being disseminated properly, talked about correctly. Florida's a big state, a very, very, very big state. I think it's what, 2 or 3 or 4, one of those. 24 million people, and we've had it forever. And I can vouch, just like I did for the other stuff when I said Robin didn't need anything to show her last night. She's got it. She goes, oh, that's what that means. Now, at the same time, we have, what's that stuff? The bundle at TSA and Clear, where we can just walk through. It was $79, I think it was, each to just be able to just walk through the line, feel like movie stars, just like boom, done. People make things a big deal out of stuff that really doesn't make any sense, and it's crazy to the point where people were so angry with her, and I love Megyn Kelly, and this piece here going after Kristi Noem, I thought was completely unneeded. And you don't see this on the left. I just wish my wish, like Martin Luther King said, is to have my little kids run around, and I just want to have our little kids in MAGA just get along, people. Just get along. Why is it so hard for people on the right to form that coalition and say, yes, we're going to fight Democrats in unison, but instead we get this kind of crap. Yeah.
I wanted to share an interesting story that happened to me, Chris, when Joe Biden had yet to drop out of the race for the...
All right, so set this up for you. She's got the perfunctory, obligatory, big-ass liberal glasses. Don't know what that's all about. But this is Katie Couric, in case you don't recognize her. And Katie Couric used to be with NBC News, and she was one of their main anchors. And so now all this information is coming out about Joe Biden being on Mapo and oatmeal and not being able to change his diaper. And now These anchors don't want the stank coming on them years later. Which all this does is prove to everybody that these people cannot be trusted. Because here it is, 2025, April, and Katie Couric didn't say this when the election was going on, not mentioned this at all during the campaign, but now it's safe. We can throw Joe Biden under the bus because he's a loser. And now that he's lost and actually had to give up everything, and then Kamala lost, and I backed her, but now that everybody's losers over there, I can try to wash the stank off of me. All of them are backtracking at this point. It's disgusting. But what it does, and why you need to understand it, it tells you don't believe anything these people say right now. Many of you don't. This thing will cement it.
2024 campaign. I saw him at an event where there were a lot of Stand Up to Cancer supporters, and I was invited. And he did as he would do in all these different events, including like super casual events, like the Irish event you talked about, where he had Irish politicians or politicians of Irish descent come to the White House. He used a teleprompter. He didn't answer any questions, but he saw.
So now you want to tell people this. Now, after the election is over, now after he got spanked, or actually he got shoved to the curb and shot in the knee, and then they bring out Kamala, now you're willing to tell everybody, and you're going to tell on his entire organization. Now, Katie Couric, now you want to do this? Do you realize what you're doing to the broadcast profession? You're showing them as all partisan hacks, liars, people that should never ever be trusted for anything, having no real relevant opinion other than to support the Democrat Party.
Me, and I've known him for decades, and he said, I miss you. And I said, well, if you want to spend more time with me, why don't you do an interview with me, and we can make up for lost time. And he said, I'd love that. After he was done giving the short speech to funders, he leaned over to me again and said, I really want to do an interview with you. So then I approached his press people. They then told me to call, and I got the runaround like there was no tomorrow. I got relegated to some guy who was in charge of digital interviews because it was for online and a podcast.
It was for a podcast. And they giggle. See, one of the problems that these people don't realize, even Michelle Obama, is that the reason podcasts work isn't because we can have lights and cameras and sit in shorts and do videos and talk to people and engage, isn't because we can buy equipment and do this. It's because people trust our opinions and that they feel like they're getting the truth. Where every single one of these people now who are trying to do podcasts, everybody knows you're full of crap. How do you jump back into trying to have some authority and integrity when you say stuff like this and we all sit there, wait a minute, why am I going to watch you now? Come on, Katie, why would I deem that you have any credibility whatsoever when you're telling us now, after the election, you sandbagged your own integrity for the Democrat Party?
And I wrote Anita Dunn personally, and I was very much stonewalled. And now, reading your book, and obviously with the benefit of hindsight, I see why. And
you didn't need any hindsight. You needed the benefit of chutzpah. You needed the benefits of a couple between your legs. Sorry. You needed something to say, you know what? I am a reporter with NBC News. My integrity means more to this than the Democrat Party. I am going to tell everybody right now he couldn't do an interview with me, and his entire organization stonewalled me and ignored me because there was no way where they were putting this guy in an interview that they couldn't control. But you didn't. You didn't.
You write that he never did interviews with the New York Times or the Washington Post. Didn't he hold fewer press conferences than any president in history?
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
So,
did you have to take notes on that? Did you just find out on, whatever this was filmed, April 8th, 9th, 10th? You just found out now, didn't he, not do any press conferences? You're surprised by that? Then that would be even less why we need to even listen to you on a podcast. You're not informed. You need to go look it up. Did he do less podcasts than that? I mean, any interviews? Yes, he did. Oh my gosh. Okay. I know that now.
Oh, do you think the White House press corps and the media writ large should have been making more noise about this?
Well, first of all,
okay. I said, people aren't going to believe when they hear this question. She asked the guy who's the host of the podcast, do you think that people in the White House and the press should have been making more noise about Dementia Joe being demented? Since you all knew and weren't telling anybody, you really have to wonder that right now? All of us could see it. It wasn't like you had to have a news report. We could see it when he'd come out and go, what'd he say? I don't know what he just said. In fact, Donald Trump at the debate, hey, so will you respond to what he just said? I don't know what he just said. I don't think he knows what he just said is what Trump said. And they're like, shouldn't the media have said something? I don't know, Katie. Isn't that what a media is supposed to do? That's what their jobs are. Report on what they see. You had to ask years later, after you've been somewhat out of the business and relegated from the studio to a podcast, and you're wondering, do you think the media should have talked about this?
Oh, you used the perfect word, stonewalled, when describing the Biden White House vis-a-vis the media. I really found it to be Nixonian. And its contempt is not too strong a word for the press, the White House press corps. If you dared to suggest that Biden's age was an issue, they went after you.
Okay. Somebody asked in the chat, Barry Whitey show all these libnuts. This is different here. They are actually breaking news that any person running for office can begin to use. This is the kind of stuff I would compile. Yeah, stonewalled? Oh no, that's a euphemism. That's a light description of what they were doing. Really? And you didn't tell anybody this? You are a credentialed reporter, history, long resume, and you didn't tell anybody that it was all smoke and mirrors? Man.
Dared to write an op-ed that suggested that everything wasn't perfect, they would close you down. And I think it came from Anita Dunn. I think this was her. I think she was a much more powerful figure in the Biden White House than we realized at the time. So my guess, Katie, my hunch is that Biden would have done that sit down with you, and that Dunn and the communications team shut that down in a heartbeat and said, no, you will not be doing that. But that's the way this White House operated.
Thanks. Thank you for giving us that very much needed information on April 10th or 11th when you recorded that, to let us know that everything that we saw, we knew, but at least now we're getting more and more confirmation that this guy was out of his gourd and everybody around him knew it, and they lied to the American people, including Raggedy Ann, who went out there in those press conferences, and Caitlin Collins and all the people up front. They all knew. They all scammed America. They continue to scam America, which then makes you wonder about all the other stuff the media knows about but won't talk about. You watch the press conferences with me. They never ask the questions. Hey, what about all this information that Tulsi found about the election machines? Crickets. Hey, what about all the kids that were trafficked? Crickets. What about the Russia hoax now being found out to be crickets? all these little bricks in the wall that we're putting a mortar over at this point are just more information for you to let people know when you talk to them, don't believe them. They are lying to you. And then they'll tell you a long time in the future, oh yeah, we lied. We all knew. How many times do people have to be told these people are liars? These people will conjure up stories. These people will do anything to save a Democrat's pants before people are going to start realizing, don't watch them. And like people ask, Barry, why are you showing? I'm showing it so you have the information. Obviously you knew, but you have now. Hey, listen, I heard Katie Couric said that they all knew that Joe couldn't tie his shoes. We all knew. And we knew that the White House would shut us down and wouldn't talk to us. Oh, God, you imagine if that would happen, the White House wouldn't talk to us. We would lose our security clearances and we would lose our invitations and we wouldn't be able to go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And they're selling people out gladly selling people out.
This, to me, is one of the most shocking pieces of poll data that I truthfully have seen this year, or maybe in any prior year.
Really?
Yes, really, because I want you to take a look. Cares more about the needs for people like you. You mentioned to Kate Ball, we got a tie, even after this tariff war had already started, split between Democrats and Republicans on how people feel. Which party cares more for needs of people like you? And why is that so surprising? Because I want you to take a look at prior years. Democrats always lead on this question. Back in 2017, before the 2018 midterms, 13-point lead. 2005, a 23-point lead for Democrats. 1994, which was a big Republican year, a 19-point lead for Democrats. And now, all of a sudden, a tie? All of a sudden, the Democrats, who are the party of the people, no more. We get a tie on this question, on a question that has traditionally overwhelmingly been a Democratic advantage. Which party cares more for the needs of people like you? It's truly something I would not have expected to see, especially after this tariff war had begun.
Hey, Harry. Harry. For the last few years, the people you're talking about have seen millions and millions and millions of newcomers come in. They weren't blind. Maybe that might have skewed it a little bit. And then seeing them get EBT cards and free hotel passes and everything else, cell phones that we were paying for. You think that might have skewed the working class a little bit? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Seeing that you left a bazillion dollars in Afghanistan and people hanging off planes, you think that might have skewed people, the working class going, that's my money. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. You think Kamala coming out and saying we're going to tax you into oblivion on unrealized capital gains? We need more taxes, higher taxes. You think that might have skewed the working class? How about the biggest thing that would skew the working class, even besides everything I just mentioned? The fact that you are courting communism and socialism, the very people that feed off the working class and promote and advocate for socialism and communism and Marxism. You don't think possibly that the working class, the people who would feed those people, would have a problem with it? These people cannot possibly be this obtuse. Oh my God! How do they perceive the Republicans at this point as the people of the party for the people? You're not stealing. They're taking your money, in addition to everything else. I don't understand how they're this obtuse.
Where does it show that Republicans are making the most gains?
Yeah, again, you talk about party of the people. Look at this. Cares for the needs of people like yourself. Look here, we got non-college, we got those with a college degree. Among those with a college degree, it's the same score. 8 plus 18 points for Democrats in 2017, plus 18 points for Democrats now. But look among non-college voters. Look here. It was plus 7 for Democrats in 2017, and now Republicans an overwhelmingly gain, plus 9 points. That is, the gains have been concentrated, at least within the last decade, among voters without a college degree. The working class. That is where Republicans have gained, even since the beginning of the Donald Trump.
Okay, so in case you didn't do that math, that's a 16-point swing. They were 7 points down. Now they're 9 points up. That's a 16-point swing. And all the reasons why go to the aforementioned different things. In addition, the people going to work after they get out of high school aren't being indoctrinated to BS like the people going to college. The people going to work when they get out of high school pay taxes, are living lives, raising families, doing stuff. The people in college, well, the ones that aren't playing football or basketball are protesting for a living. Which the other people look at and go, what are these people doing? Free Palestine, what in the hell are you talking about? I'm trying to feed my family. I'm trying to get the animals fed on the farm. And y'all up here paying $100,000 a year. Oh, the ones that pay, the other ones that get loans that you pay for, are up there going free Palestine. My body, my choice. And Donald Trump's a Nazi. Meanwhile, at 6 o'clock in the morning, someone in Kansas is out there feeding chickens. And you're wondering? You're wondering why it's a 16-point difference? Ooh, get out the studio, touch some grass.
Administration, the Democratic base is now those with a college degree. Among the working class, those without a college degree, Republicans have overwhelmingly gained on this all-important question of which party cares more for people like yourself.
Your reference points are, as you were pointing out, just before a midterm election. So obviously, let's kind of look at that. Where do things stand for the fight for Congress?
Right. Okay. So you have this question, right? And then there's the question, ultimately, are Republicans going to get punished in this midterm election, in part because that's normally what happens, the party in power gets punished, but also because of this tariff war? And I want you to take a look here at the generic congressional ballot. Where we were in April of 2017, Democrats were already ahead by 7 points. In November of 2024 on this question, it was a tie, and then, of course, Republicans won control. Where are we now? It's Democrats, but just by a point. This looks very much still like what we saw in 2024, not like what we saw in 2017. If Democrats think they automatically have a ticket back to control of the House, I'd say, hold on a second. Republicans still have a real shot at this, despite all of Trump's theatrics over the last month with this tariff war.
That really is interesting information.
Theatrics. Oh, these people would need to get out of New York and Washington and go talk to actual people, to not understand we're the population and what most of us are thinking. Most of us who have to pay bills, most of us who have to feed families and take care of families, not just be able to protest in the street. Most of us who have seen everything being spent and how Doge has uncovered so much of this stuff. I got to believe that number is even worse for the Democrats. I got to believe as we go forward and more of this stuff gets revealed, which is going to require you, because you know the media is not talking about it. You watch every press conference with me. They don't want to know nothing about Doge. Nope, not going to talk about it. Well, 2 million Social Security numbers stolen? Not going to talk about it. Nope, And that's why it has gotten hard for me to even talk about this stuff with people, because they don't talk about anything anymore. It's all hate Donald Trump and rhetoric, because they can't discuss issues because the issues are so bad for the Democrats. So very bad for the Democrats. It's incredible. Trump is doing his job. You're absolutely correct. Barry Soros, the CIA plant from Kenya, is going down. Maybe that's what Trump was talking to him. Maybe. Real ID is leading into World War. Oh, just another BS way to do the frameworking. I'm fine with it down here. It's doing good for me. Yeah, you mean us flyover states? There was actually somebody on CNN. I should have kept the cut. I don't know if let me just check and see if I have the cut. Because if I have this cut, I am going to show you something that's just, I might have deleted it. The lady on CNN said, and I quote, "We're tired of talking about people learning how to learn HVAC systems." Oh, I do have it. Hold on. Let me go ahead and pull this in, because this dovetails off of exactly what he was just saying, how the middle class is looking at Trump and they're pulling away from, you won't believe this clip. Where is it here? Shelf number 3. Yeah, it's only like 30 seconds, but it says everything. All right, listen to this elitist piece of crap talk down about people.
Is it worth it to upend the global economy?
Hold on, let me go ahead. I gotta up the volume here because it's a low cup. You ever know, like, sometimes you see people, they'll cut videos, but they don't they don't up and do any modulation. Here we go.
Is it worth it to upend the global economy for HVAC jobs, right? Which is what Howard Lutnick is talking about, that these factories will be largely automated, but then there'll be mechanics who are, I guess, fixing the machines and fixing the robots and the HVAC systems. So they are making big promises. When they can deliver is still an open question.
Is it worth upending the economy for HVAC people? Oh, I'm like, are you seriously looking down your nose with your big Rachel Maddow glasses? Are you really seriously looking at people who fix HVAC for a living? And understanding in places like here, and Robin's 2 nephews are both in the HVAC business in Las Vegas, where the climate is a certain hot climate. They make over $100,000 a year fixing HVAC, and you're looking down their nose. These are tax-paying, I wouldn't even call them blue collar. I would just call them hard collar. People working for a living. I can tell you right now, if you live in South Florida and your air conditioning goes out, you're going to dial whoever can come to the house first, and you're going to pay them whatever you need to pay them. You are not going to want to sleep in the heat in a house in South Florida. I would venture to say it's the same way in Las Vegas. And this woman up in some studio in Atlanta or New York or Washington is saying, are we really going to upend the entire economy for some HVAC people? That's what they think of you. They can't. It just comes out of their mouths. It comes out of their bodies. They just spew it. Some HVAC guys? Oh my God. HVAC? Oh. Why would it? Ooh, that's dirty. Wow, she said that. I kept it for that long. I didn't include it yet. Yeah, snob, elite. Ooh, it drives me crazy. I'm an HVAC tech, and I kiss your y'all kiss your ass when it's hot. There's a company down here. They have the best billboards in the world, and it's on 95 right off the highway, and their billboard's like, "Your wife is hot." And she's kind of mad right now because the air conditioning broke after you left the house. But you can call us. We'll come fix it. Because I'm telling you, if you don't get the HVAC fixed down here, stuff starts feeling clammy on the floor. And you're like, man, I'm just going to go outside. It's cooler outside. Just put $1,136 into my HVAC. They do break down. Yeah, exactly. And she actually, I mean, it was a perfect follow-up to what he just said. Hey, the working class people, they're kind of pissed off. Yeah, because these people are working 24/7. Them and the other, who's the other one you will always call? Sewer. Because down here we have some kind of invasive weed that'll choke your pipes out, and all of a sudden you'll get bubbling crude if you don't watch out. You don't keep those things clear. Ficus, that's what it's called. And when that ficus chokes off your sewer line and stuff starts backing up, hey, get somebody over here, quick, man, quick. I got bubbling crude going on right now. And when I mean bubbling crude, I'm talking about coming up through your shower or your bathtub or something. Oh, it's the grossest thing ever. So this guy comes out at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and he puts on the big gloves and gets in there. I will never look down on people like that. I will never look down on people like that. I don't look down on people anyway, but someone who's going to stick their hands down in the sewer and grab some leaves and stuff out of there so you can poop freely in the air conditioning, poop freely in the air conditioning, and this woman's like, are we really going to upend the economy for... No, you don't get it. If those people aren't there, your economy gets upended. The guys who fix your tire and your brakes and your transmission and your HVAC and your sewers and all of that, the economy comes to a halt if those people aren't working. Man. I just lowered my AC. Oh God, it's simply amazing. Yeah, they deserve the big bucks. Like I said earlier with home title, it's a service, and the same thing with what these people do. You could fix your own air conditioner. Good luck. Yeah, telling you, if we went outside and the pool was brown, you're like, hey man, yeah, you can go to the pool store and get some chemicals and do what you need to do. Or do you want to make sure when you open that door, it's a sparkling pool? Mm-hmm. When you turn on the AC, you're like, yeah, you want it to be working. And people like her, who's, by the way, in a studio with really hot lights, which is probably at about 60 degrees right now, so that those cameras and those heat and everything else, the computers all run, is looking down her nose at HVAC people. It's amazing. I'm an industrial mechanic for Publix. Trust me, mechanics are the ones who keep the world turning. Obviously, she doesn't know that. She needs to go home one night in Atlanta, if that's where they are, and she needs to be there just in case. Just in case, find out what it's like when the AC goes off. I'm sick, and I just felt that was probably the best follow-up ever to what that guy was saying. Oh, I can't believe it. The numbers are 16 points different. You know, the working class people, they're looking out for Trump. Do you need a poll to know that? I don't think you do. I don't think you need to do it. All right, so we're going to go into the 10 in here in a second. Let me tell you about one of my other supplements that I'm using right now. I don't have swollen limbs. Some of you guys might have swollen limbs. I hope it's not any sort of edema that you're dealing with. I do have joint pain and inflammation. As we're getting older, we have some kind of skin aging that some of us may get dark spots or something like that. That's not a dark spot. That's my pit bull of a Maltese that tries to bite me. And then some of us, not me, some of us may have even cognitive decline. Did you know that these are all just a few of the awful side effects that you can experience due to poor blood circulation, especially the edema stuff? But before you reach for that bottle of ibuprofen, you may want to read the laundry list of scary side effects on the back of the bottle. It's ineffective, expensive, and downright dangerous, especially for seniors. I'm not quite there yet. I'm approaching, but I'm not there. It's temporary pain relief, and it's only masking the true problem. To top it all off, ibuprofen doesn't even get to the main cause, which is inflammation. Now, I can talk to you about inflammation because Monday morning, I have an appointment with my orthopedic surgeon. And what he's going to do, and I do it like every year or every 6 months since I played football, I have to go in and get cortisone shots in my knee to reduce the inflammation. I wish I didn't have to, and I'm hoping Krill will do that for me. You see, right now you can go to getkrill.com/Barry for a special 66% off offer. Researchers are saying to add this Antarctic super nutrient to your diet. And I'm all about adding as many things as possible because I want to be here for quite some time for my wife, my daughter, and my grandkids. I'm talking about omega-3 fatty acids, but not just any form of omegas. These are omega-3 fatty acids sourced from wild-caught krill. The omega-3 content from krill oil has been shown to support healthy blood pressure, circulation, brain health, as well as help reduce inflammation, swelling, and joint pain, which it actually does. In fact, some report it outperforms ibuprofen and without any side effects. Better yet, for a limited time, you can grab Native Path Antarctic Krill Oil for up to 66% off. Just go to getkrill.com/Barry right now to get this special free shipping offer. That link again is getkrill.com/Barry. Back in 90 seconds.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
So tomorrow at 3 p.m. I go live. I might go like at 2:45 as an intro because Ben from Veteran Biker will be here. He and I are going to be shooting the crap and taking questions and talking to you guys. Many of you guys watch his show, Veteran Biker. Good show. Ex-military guy, has a lot of knowledge about the military. We'll be talking to him about some of the stuff that Pete Hegseth and these guys are doing. We'll talk to him about the Panama Canal. We'll talk to him about just all kinds of military stuff. Speaking of military, I won't call this breaking news because it happened yesterday. But again, this was something they did not discuss at the press conference, and it's flipping huge. And so I'm going to talk to Ben about this tomorrow at 3 o'clock. We'll dig in deep on this. But it says Trump, and this just slid under the radar. Nobody talked about it. Said President Trump has authorized the U.S. military to take control of federal lands across the U.S.-Mexico border, including a 60-foot wide stretch known as the Roosevelt Reservation. I'm not familiar with it. Hopefully Ben is. This directive spans from California to Arizona and is part of a broader strategy to enhance border security. The move is detailed in a national security presidential memorandum titled Military Mission for Sealing the Southern Border of the United States and Repelling Invasions. Pretty interesting what this is going to do. By authoring the Department of Defense to militarize the Roosevelt Reservation along the border, this means that the 60-foot buffer zone on a 700-mile stretch of border, this is important, will now be considered military property. And because of that, troops can seize newcomers to hand to the Border Patrol. Translation, he just activated the military to completely shut down the invasion at our southern border. You hear about that? How many of you even heard that? Here's some pictures. Breaking Trump. The judge has ordered an additional hearing, but the Supreme Court already said no go. Again, you're going to hear this type of BS. The Supreme Court used the words facilitate and effectuate. So you could go ahead and, look up the definition of that stuff, but effectuate and facilitate does not mean go get him. Plus, the other thing is he's in another sovereign country, and you're expecting that this government is ruled by the Supreme Court. Nope.
9. For the Secretary of State to say that someone can be deported for using free speech, well, I was involved in the Free South Africa movement. If people from the Caribbean or others marched with us, they could have been deported because the American policy was supporting South African government until Mandela and others got steam. So we need to look at this person. You're establishing a principle that would have affected the Free South Africa movement all the way back to Dr. King and the Vietnam movement. There were people from different countries that marched against the Vietnam War when I was a kid, all the way to Free South Africa. That's what we're looking at, but what they're doing today, what Rubio said. And the reason I'm personalizing it is people need to understand it's not them or us.
I'm sorry that just popped up. I don't know, some sort of kind of delayed effect here. But nonetheless, I'll go back to crazy Al. See, this whole integration with Rumble is new. And they're doing all kinds of new things, and you click the button that says, yep, we're ready, we have a break right now, so we can do this, and they go poof, and it just pops up. Well, this time it didn't go poof, it didn't pop up in the right time, but it just decided to pop up in the middle of me talking, so I am sorry, but I'll go back to Crazy Al in a second. You guys know about the Trump red knives. I've talked about them many, many times. Comes in this pretty little box. Don't have to go through a whole script or anything except to tell you and show you what's going on here. Let me get it out because this thing can be kind of tight in here. It's pretty heavy. It's got some good weight behind it. These knives normally retail for $70. You can have it for free. You can have this knife for free. You just have to pay shipping, $13.99 for the knife. I think it's $15.99 if you want 3 of them. So you can actually get these knives. You're going to want to go to the QR code right over here, or you can go to barryknife.com. All no spaces, barryknife.com. Let me go ahead and show you the knife. I've done this many times without cutting myself, so I will continue. Like I said, it's got some good weight to it. It's got a seatbelt blade that you can cut a seatbelt right there. It's got a window notch where you can go ahead and knock out a window in case you need to crawl out of your car. And then you got your full knife in case you got to do battle with a snake or some gators or some BLM people or something. You're all set to go if they try to crawl in your window. The knife is a pretty good size. You can see here from showing my hand, it's about a 10-inch knife. So, you know, it's a good knife. And people who have purchased it, they seem to like it. They seem to like the way it feels, and it's got that some sort of a quick release thing here, but I'm not going to do it and cut myself on live broadcast because that would be crazy. But you can get this. Normally retails for $70, and you can get it for free. For free, just pay shipping, and that shipping is $13.99. So we were talking about Al Sharpton, and he was saying some crazy stuff. These people still live in the 60s. I don't understand it. I don't understand. He's talking about stuff in South Africa. He's talking about, you know, when he would, you know, the whole fake stuff he did with Tawana Brawley and the crazy stuff that they did, and they're comparing things like that to now. They don't make any sense. This is why I'm telling you I'm going to reserve these things for the 10 spot, because I don't want to waste the bulk of the show listening to this. It's idiocy.
That marched against the Vietnam War when I was a kid, all the way to free South Africa. That's what we're looking at, for what they're doing today, what Rubio said. And the reason I'm personalizing it is people need to understand it's not them or us, it's us. Because once you open that door that you can be shoved through.
They keep trying to conflate this, saying, you people, you Americans, if you open the door here and it happens with the newcomers, they're going to do it to you as well. No, nobody's kicking in my door and telling me I shouldn't be in this country. and they bring these people out. They are relics. They are dinosaurs. And they say the same thing in this 2025, where all of us can look to somebody else. Hey, did they snatch you up? No, nobody snatched me up. Are you allowed to go in stores? Yeah. Can you go in a movie theater and watch a movie? Yeah, as long as I buy a ticket. Can you get on a bus? Yeah. What the hell are you talking about? I've yet to walk in my life to any place that has said, hey boy, you can't be up in here. And don't let the sun hit you on your way out. And by the way, sheriff's going to take you, put you on this bus. We're going to get you out of town. All the way back to, oh, we can't go to Africa, but we can probably send you to Mexico. Nope. Never happened. Never happened. And people in these blue cities, you need to break free of this brainwashing. All the way back when I was in high school, we were going to come down to spring break in Fort Lauderdale. And I told you, people kept telling us, make sure you got gas, you don't get stuck on the side of the road in Georgia. You know what's going to happen? They're going to put you on the field and make you pick cotton. I ain't bailing nothing. I ain't bailing no cotton. I was bad back then. But anyway, we were actually told that. I'm not making that up. They were told, make sure you get gas before you get into, Georgia and South Carolina and North Carolina. North Carolina comes first, obviously. And what you didn't tell me was there were some fine women up there in South Carolina. Yeah, the one out there, she's from South Carolina. She's a white woman from South Carolina. I was like, y'all lied. Everything was a lie.
Number 8.
We begin this hour with the chaos.
The average American sees chaos.
Oh, you're going to love this. I should have played this first to show you how much these people are tools. Absolute tools with nothing to say. If they don't get the 4 o'clock in the morning facts, they have nothing to say all day. So understand as you're watching this, they must get the 4 a.m. facts. And the 4 a.m. fact says, okay, we are going to say this, this, and this all day on every one of these shows. And all the producers on all these shows say, make sure you ask them this so they can respond in kind. So we have all these clips and cuts of people looking like morons. Thank you, MSNBC, CNN, because if you didn't do that, if you didn't take those 4 a.m. facts or emails at this point, and let everybody know what to say, we wouldn't have these kind of things to show people.
The American people see chaos.
It's total chaos. You brought chaos.
It's just complete chaos.
Unleashed an economic chaos.
They unleashed chaos.
They are creating chaos.
This chaos.
There's too much chaos.
Total chaos.
That amidst the chaos,
I'm going to see chaos.
After seeing all the chaos,
the chaos he has unleashed on America.
Continue to see the chaos. Economic chaos.
A lot more chaos.
Trump's chaos. This is chaos with such chaos.
The chaos, because of this chaos. Chaos. All of this chaos.
Uncertainty and chaos.
Given all that chaos, when it's chaos.
All the chaos.
Chaos and confusion grows.
More chaos, dysfunction.
The chaos is the purpose. The chaos is the goal.
It's chaos.
You know, I read my sponsor reads, which are for the most part scripted, except when I don't feel like being scripted, and I talk to you about what I want to talk to you about a product because I want to tell you what I feel about it. But I would hate to have to think that the editorializing, the actual news, is being manufactured in a box somewhere, and Here's the news for the day. It's coming in this box. And when you open this box, it's going to tell you, we got chaos today. Chaos, baby. Everybody, we got chaos. Chaos, chaos, chaos. Because it's absurd. It's insulting. It's revealing. But the problem is most people don't watch news all day. They'll come in before breakfast, check Morning Joe. Okay. And then at lunch, they may put on CNN with Wolf Blitzer. And then at night, they're hitting Jake Tapper. And they're seeing bits. And they're hearing this thing, chaos. And they don't realize it's been said all day long, 24/7. Everybody's saying chaos, 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 chaos. And so you never see that as a consumer of news because you think you're consuming news when actually you're being spoon-fed BS. I want to use a much better word, but people don't like me when I use the colorful language. Because the noobs out there, which none of you are, you need to be immune to this stuff. You need to understand that everything you're seeing is being orchestrated. Those of you who have watched my shows and spend 2-3 hours with me, you know I'm reading an ad here, and I'm reading an ad here, and I'm reading an ad here, and you know specifically those things are ads, and they are choreographed, and it is for a sponsor. They should put on their newscast, sponsored by chaos. They told us to say chaos. Chaos, 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 chaos. They told us to say Nazi, racist. Because it's not news. It all comes to them in a little box at 4 o'clock in the morning that they can open up and go, ooh, here's the news today. And then their producers can write stories around it. It's a damn shame.
Number 7.
I think it was in 2003, Joe, I wrote an article for Fortune actually about the trade deficit. I was worried about it getting too large then because, again, it was getting to be 3% or so of GDP. It wasn't specific to China at all, but it was just a question of how wise it is to let the trade deficit grow larger and larger, because when you run when you are in effect buying more from other countries than they're buying from you, you are handing them investment funds. I mean, it's the nature. You give them little pieces of paper and they can convert that into buying. They can buy government bonds, they can buy buildings here. And Japanese bought Pebble Beach in the 1980s when they were running a big surplus. I mean, so you are giving up claim checks on our country, essentially, in exchange for having more consumption now than you're producing in this country. And so I do think that there's levels of trade deficit that bother me. I had some system that did not make it country specific. But I think the world has gotten better and better, and there's no question that countries may try and take advantage in this or that, and we've actually been guilty of that sometimes in the past too. I don't think leaders in other countries, whether China or 100 other countries, are are not smart enough to realize that it's in the interest to keep promoting trade. The more we trade over time, and we don't want it to be a question of where we import 20% of our GDP and we export nothing. Now, we could all quit working, and we could hand little pieces of paper to the rest of the world, and they could keep sending us food, and they could send us autos, and they could send us all kinds of things. But eventually they have claims on all our wealth. So we do want to have policies where the overall trade deficit does not get out of hand in relation to GDP. And I've been arguing that for a long time.
Numbers.
I didn't want to interrupt a single word as that man spoke. There's two people I won't interrupt. I'm not going to interrupt President Trump. And when Warren Buffett's talking, I'm just going to sit back and listen. And I try to find often in my personal life as many things as this man is willing to say, I'm willing to listen. I would advise people in Congress, maybe you should pull as many of his videos and many of his speeches as possible to understand what is going on from arguably the best investor we've ever seen, period. That is E.F. Hutton. Those of you who are old enough to remember the commercials, Warren Buffett is E.F. Hutton. When he talks, lean in, lean in. And I can tell you personally, things he has said over the course of his career, because when he comes out of Omaha and he ends up going on TV someplace, what's Warren's on? Hold on. There was one time he did a talk and he said, and he's talking about real estate. He goes, if it was me, right now I'd be buying as many single family houses as I possibly can. This was back, I think it was 2009. I'm like, all right, let's get the band together. Round up, let's go. Warren just said, buy as many of them as you possibly can. Let's put a fund together. Hey, you got 100, you got 100, you got 300, 400. When we put together, I think it was close to $6 million that we had. It's a very small fund in comparison to some people, but it allowed us to accumulate a whole bunch of houses. People have always asked me, how did you buy over 1,000 houses? Because money has friends. Just so you know, like when Curly did the what was that movie, City Slickers, it's got friends. It has friends. It's contagious. It grows. And it's very easy to accumulate many, many investors if you know what you're doing and you have the time to do it. And so when it was literally, in real estate, it was literally a gold rush. And as a part of my portfolio that I would send to people, I would clip that Warren Buffett talk that he did way back then. And he said, if it was me, I'd buy as many single-family homes as possible right now. And that's different time zone. But anyway, and people would see that. And Warren Buffett said that. Yeah, man, he said that. So when he's talking now and saying about the trade and saying, we could all quit working and owe everybody else in the world, that'd be stupid. You have to wonder why our government doesn't understand that. Except for the fact that you realize your government does understand that. And your government, until Trump came back, wanted that to happen. They wanted to destroy America. There's no other way around it. And so everybody follows what Nancy Pelosi is trading. You better be following what Warren Buffett's doing. Because that guy, he's dumping this, he'll pick this up. And just before all this happened, he dumped a whole bunch of stuff. So this guy knows, and he knows a lot. So if there's somebody you ever want to dig in, just read his books, watch him, listen. If he's on television, make sure you're there. And then have your senator or congressperson watch too.
Next.
Is it safe for undocumented immigrants to file their taxes?
Well, this is the damage of what this administration.
Wrong answer within your first 5 seconds. Is it dangerous for newcomers to file income taxes? You're a government official. What should be the answer? I feel like Dennis Hopper in the movie Speed. All right, hotshot, what you gonna do? Is it dangerous for them to file income taxes? What's the right answer? Hey, Mr. Wannabe newscaster. It doesn't matter if it's dangerous. It's the law. It's the law to file your income taxes. If you don't file your income taxes, you're breaking the law. At least that's what we thought. We didn't know we had an option. We didn't know that, hey, could it be dangerous? Oh, maybe I shouldn't. Okay. Look, AOC, can I use this?
Yeah. It has always been a near sacred promise and understanding that undocumented people were safe in paying their taxes in the hope that we could one day have a breakthrough and regularize status for people who contributed to our country, who did their best to pay their taxes and pay into all of our systems. And so this betrayal has made this question very difficult, and it's horrible for the country. Undocumented people pay billions and billions of dollars in taxes, more than a lot of multinational corporations have in U.S. Taxes. So I unfortunately can't give an answer to that right now, because historically the answer has always been yes.
Thank you, Congresswoman. What do you make?
Oh, we need prayer night next Thursday. Oh, we need prayer night. That's someone in our government worried about these newcomers. And they work hard and they pay their taxes, and, they add so much. What about me? What about the people watching here? They've completely lost their way. She's worried about newcomers having to pay taxes here because it might be dangerous for them to pay their taxes. How about us? Should we pay our taxes? It could be dangerous for us for paying our taxes. She actually said, I want you to hear it, and I want you to suffer through that 2 minutes or whatever she just said. But she couldn't say the legal response. The legal response is they don't have a choice. You're telling me you want to stack another crime on top of being here illegally? Is that what you want them to do? Hey, it might be dangerous for you to pay your taxes, even though you're not supposed to be here. You're on someone's payroll, so we want you to pay your taxes, but it might be dangerous and you might get caught, so I really can't answer that right now. Oh, really? You just did. You just told these people you're going to get in the express line of deportations. You're not going to pay your taxes. Oh, okay. You understand what she's just telling these people. So now there's a whole bunch of the newcomers are like, well, AOC said not pay taxes, man. No taxes, man. It's dangerous. Oh, good luck with that. Go ahead and stack another crime onto all the other crimes that you've done. And then tell them AOC said, she can't answer that.
Number 5.
Michelle Obama is getting a little picky about her calendar invites. Her husband famously went stag to Donald Trump's inauguration and to Jimmy Carter's funeral, and that's led the internet to go all Neil Diamond and insist that their love is on the rocks. But on her new podcast, she is hitting back.
We, as women, I think we struggle with
We as what?
Disappointing people.
Yeah.
I mean, so much so that this year people were, they couldn't even fathom that I was making a choice for myself, that they had to assume that my husband and I are divorcing.
I mean, those rumors were going wild. Maybe may or may not have been just about the appearances, but her point is, I can do what I want. I'm a grown woman.
If you haven't seen this, just sit back. And you're like, Barry, where are they going with this? Oh yeah, you'll like this one.
This is totally sexist. This is totally sexist. They would never do this to a man and suddenly say that they're going to be going on, when Trump hasn't done the traditional things as president that other presidents have done. They didn't suddenly say he's getting divorced from Melania. There were other reasons they were saying that,
Melania
but
is
not that.
Virtually absent.
Speculation that they're getting divorced. There's been tons of speculation that she's just working out a contract, right, Melania?
Did you hear what she had to say? Melania is just working out a contract. She's not really married to him. She doesn't want to be anywhere near Donald. Wait a minute, you're talking about Michelle Obama and possibly Barack not being, cohesive, and somehow this became an attack on Melania. Only CNN, well, maybe MSNBC, could have taken that and turned it around to attack Melania Trump.
Oh,
right,
live there anymore.
But that's not. But it wasn't because he didn't attend the inauguration that suddenly the rumors started. That's my point. Michelle Obama didn't attend the inauguration. She didn't go to Jimmy Carter's funeral, and suddenly she's divorcing Barack Obama. It's like, what?
Also, those are
Number 4.
By the way, that was a newscast on CNN. Maybe Megan should have come on and talked about Michelle Obama's hair. That would have brought it full circle. Do you think Michelle Obama should have had that hairstyle on her podcast? And then you would have elevated the conversation to what some people on the right would want to talk about. They got nothing. Barry, why are you showing this? Because you know now. They got nothing. And so as you see me move into next week and I start just keeping this into the comedy section, the discount bin of news, because they're actually talking about Melania being on a contract. Not really into it.
Or on the show, Jimmy, let me start with you because let's put the economics aside for a second. We've been gaslit.
All right, this is on MSNBC with Jim Acosta, who got booted from CNN because he couldn't even qualify to be on CNN. And of course, what's Jim Acosta do? Jim Acosta runs and he starts what? A podcast. Good luck, Jimmy. And so the guy from MSNBC is trying to give him a solid, and we're going to put Jimmy's podcast on television. And the first thing he says is, they've been gaslit. Wow. No mirrors, huh? No mirrors in that studio.
This week. And I think people need to understand if there's short-term pain to be had in the economy for long-term gain, one might be able to make that argument that it's a worthwhile endeavor. But there's no strategy here. There's no thing underneath this.
No, I mean, Trump is hungry like the wolf, you might say, for tariffs, but he has not been able to make fetch happen, Ali. And I will tell you, it's been sort of like watching an episode of Jackass. Remember the old show on MTV where the teenagers would jump off their parents' roof into a trash can or something? And
watching President Trump with the tariffs with Howard Lutnick and Scott Bessent is like watching an episode of Jackass. He just said that.
They would all get a bunch of laughs. I mean, that's sort of like what Trump and Peter Navarro and his advisors have been doing this week with the economy. And I will tell you, I mean, one of the big tells, I mean, everybody was talking about what was taking place on Wall Street and the bond markets and so on. That is always something that will move Donald Trump, what happens in the markets. But the other thing that will move him is poll numbers. And, a Quinnipiac poll came out just a couple of days ago showing 72% of Americans do not have a good view of what Trump has been doing.
Hold on. Oh, y'all can't even get your numbers straight. I told Ashley earlier today that we need to make Mark Mitchell like a installation. Like every Friday we talk to Mark, because when you hear these kind of numbers, and Mark will come out and just absolutely destroy the sourcing for that kind of poll numbers, which they use just to talk about on these types of shows. They have no basis, no foundation whatsoever. It's all BS. 72%. What are you, crazy?
With these tariffs in terms of how they're going to impact the economy. And those are devastating numbers. He's already sunk to some like 41% in this poll. You're seeing other polls reflecting the same thing. And he has taken a huge hit with the public. And I suspect, even in MAGA, they're howling at the moon because, there's a lot of...
You? Me? No, Robin's not. You howling at the moon? We're getting ready to go to dinner in a little bit, so I got to hurry up and get out of here because she'll be knocking on the door real soon as we head to dinner. And I'm sure, again, I'll take a picture tonight so you can see all the people howling at the moon, which there will be a lot of people who aren't MAGA in this restaurant because a lot of them are transplants from New York. They're all over the place down here. And we're going into this seafood place today. I think that's where we're going. And I'll take it as we're going up into the park and the ballet. And as we go into the restaurant, you'll see the line, because there will be a line. Luckily, we have reservations. And so I'm pretty sure what you will not see are people screaming because Trump's doing the wrong thing.
There's a remorse going around all over. Forgive all the wolf puns, but you got to go in there.
I'm grateful for it. Michael.
Number 3.
Someone had a question if you wanted to ask. I promise you, if you wanted a question, I promise you I'll take care of it.
I mean, the thing is that you're in Mason right now. And
I grew up not far from here.
Our diversity is our superpower here.
Yes, it is.
Right? It is our superpower here. This is why we live here, because we have, 100 languages spoken in our schools, close to 100 languages. We have people from many different countries here, and some of my friends are scared. I'm out here because I have cover. I'm a blue-eyed old white lady, so I have some cover. But my friends are scared. I have friends, my kids' friends, their families are scared because they're worried about they're going to get picked up on the streets.
Okay, lady, you don't need to even bother Vivek about this. I could tell you, many people with a brain who aren't looking like the scarecrow could probably tell you nobody's getting picked up off the street. Unless, of course, they're not supposed to be here. And so, again, we're looking at, and I'm sure this is just going to be an easy softball for Vivek to hit out the park because this lady's full of it. Well, I'm blonde hair and blue eyes, so I don't have any problems here. Well, guess what? I'm 6'2", black with brown eyes, and I ain't got a problem in Boca Raton, Florida. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
And then get sent somewhere.
As someone who's not blue-eyed myself, okay, let me address my perspective on this. I'd frame it a little bit differently. I think our strength is not our diversity. Our strength is what unites us across our diversity. All right, and part of what I want to bring back are the ideals that unite. No, it's actually not. Well, I'll tell you why it's not.
I understand.
I'll tell you how I translate. I'll translate it. I'll translate it to action.
See, he's run into the typical liberal. In case you guys haven't run into this, the typical liberal will ask you a question and then refuse to let you answer. They've already had their confirmation bias. There is nothing you can say to them. At this point, he may be having fun with it because it's being filmed. But if you ever get into this situation, hey, is the sky blue? Well, today it looks, no, I didn't ask you that. I mean, like, do you really think? They don't let you finish. That's when you know you reached the peanut gallery at that point. There's nothing you can do. These people are never coming back, ever.
We'll translate it to action. I think every high school senior who graduates from an Ohio high school should have to pass the same civics test that every legal immigrant has to pass before they become a voting citizen of the country. Because I want people to know about our country, to be proud of it. That's our true strength. That's what I care about.
Number 2.
No, you don't understand it. I see it all the time. At this point now, I can actually tell you what's going to happen when somebody asks you a question. Charlie Kirk gets it all the time. You ask a question, and then you begin to answer, and they just want to shout you down. They don't want to hear your answer because it scares them, because you will destroy their confirmation bias, and then they move into cognitive dissonance land, and there's no place for them to go. They are locked into being liberals, and they have taken their blood oaths, and they don't want to learn anything else. Period. This is who we are. We're complete nuts, and there's nothing you can say.
The president of the United States can do something like this.
He's back, talking about bat poop crazy. Listen to Lizzie here.
It's very disturbing, it seems to me.
Jim, these are all just signs of the king, right? The king, unlimited power, and all that matters is whatever bothers him or engages him. It's not about trying to make this country work better for everyone else. Let me ask you, going after these guys, I get it. We can all talk about how this has a chilling effect. Who wants to do the investigations that need to be done? By the way, right now, the SEC and the Department of Justice need to be investigating Donald Trump and all of his close-in advisors over what happened on Wednesday.
All right, so she's worried about that. Let me just break in and tell you, like I told you earlier, just to remind you, they've exempted certain electronics, computers, smartphones, tablets, laptops from the tariffs for China, which means on Monday, she's going to be mad again because people are going to make money again on Monday. It's coming. It's coming. It's written on the wall. It's coming. They're exempting these companies. They're going to make money. And she doesn't like it. Never mind the fact that she made money on a $175,000 a year salary. Somehow she's worth millions. Don't want any investigation in that though, right? Don't want people to dig into Jasmine Crockett or Nancy Pelosi, but you want to figure out how people might have gotten some insider trading from a public announcement. Make that make sense. But then again, Monday's coming.
Was this stock manipulation and a violation of federal law? But who looks left and looks right and says, what will Donald Trump do? And then it means we are no longer a nation of laws. We are just a kingdom. We are all just servants to the king, Donald Trump.
I'm not really sure what these people are so worried about. Power, money. They're still making money. As I've said it before, I guarantee you a bunch of politicians, a bunch of people in the media jumped in when the stock market crashed and said, let's buy that dip. She's not going to investigate them. Nope, only Republicans. But she can't investigate anybody. You do not have any power right now. Nothing. You do not have subpoena. Mike Johnson's not going to play along with your little game here. It ain't going to happen. And so let me finish with this number one piece. This is Donald Trump when he was running for president or doing a speech a long time ago talking about tariffs.
So I think we got to have tough conditions. Tell people to come out of
Oh, it's not Trump. It's Hillary. And she's talking about what she would do with tariffs. Oh my gosh, I hope the volume's good on this one. It's such an old clip. Let's see.
shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked. They're gone. If they've been working and are law-abiding, we should say, here are the conditions for you staying. You have to pay a stiff fine because you came here illegally. You have to pay back taxes, and you have to try to learn English, and you have to wait in line.
Kind of funny to me how she was all in on stopping the newcomers. She was all in on tariffs. What's changed? I don't know. I don't know what's changed with these people. They've lost their ever-loving minds. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. It's a lot. So today, if you've taken anything from today's show, other than the fact that these people are crazier than loons, I would ask you again, just to reiterate, go back to the very beginning if you didn't know, and watch what happens Monday. Either look around yourself, see what you might want to do, and we'll see what happens. As far as I can go. But those of you who were here and you heard what I said, might be a good day. Might be a good day. Let me see if this works before I sign off. Yeah. I got something for you. Got something for you here. Let me unveil it. See, Robin already took it from me. She was gonna take it. This is the big, comfy, warm Trump blanket. It's a Trump blanket, and guess what? It's free too. I don't know if you can hear me, but it's free. Let me just put it without sweating too much here. Big old blanket. You can see it over my shoulders now. Look at that big blanket. I think it says Trump up there. Nice blanket. This blanket is another one from Patriot Addict. It's exclusive release for you guys watching this for limited time only. They're giving away these free Trump presidential blankets. Absolutely free. No hidden charges. No recurring fees. No subscriptions. None of that BS. Just cover a small shipping fee and it's yours. And it's absolutely big. Big giant blanket. And I've got it on me and it's already blocking out the air conditioning. And it's making me hot already in here. That's how warm this thing is. So those of you guys who have it snowing up there, you might want to jump on this. This blanket is gorgeous. I can attest. It is definitely thick and warm. Nice fleece to it. Just imagine wrapping yourself in it every night. It's more than just a blanket. It's a bold symbol of America's comeback and real leadership. Patriot Addict is doing this to show their support for Trump in these challenging times and to make room in their warehouse. I'm going to tell you about that. But this offer is only available for my viewers, and it's moving fast. Don't wait. Scan the QR code now, or to order yours. Just pay shipping. Again, just scan the QR code right there to grab yours today. Now, some people, let me just give a quick disclaimer. It said to get this stuff out of their warehouse because I don't know where this is made, but some people seem to have thinking they've got the gotcha question. And the gotcha question is, where is this stuff made? And that the knives are made in China. And somebody's like, somebody wrote to me on Twitter and said, you should find yourself another sponsor. At which point I said to him, one, they had a stack in their warehouse and they had ordered it before all this stuff happened. Number two, I'm not selling anything. We're giving it away. This doesn't cost you anything but shipping. The money goes to the post office to ship this to you. The knife is free. So, in that regard, it's a free trinket if you want to use it as a trinket, but it's also an item that you can functionally use. If it's made in China, it's made in China. As of right now, that's not illegal. And I could find that. You know what? I'll ask them to see if they can source it here in America. And when they source it here in America, I will ask them, what's it going to cost? $90? And see if you guys want to buy an American one for $90. I'll ask them that all day. But right now it's a giveaway. I'm not making any money on the knife. They want to, assemble customers. So that's it. And like yours truly said, seriously, most stuff is made in China. That ain't going to change for quite some time. And it's funny to me because almost everybody right now is watching on a phone, a laptop, a tablet, or a computer that is primarily made not here. Unfortunately. Like Warren Buffett said, we could all be lazy and just let things go, or we can work towards getting where we need to get to and stop bitching at people. Yeah, that being said. All right, so let me look on here and let's jump into some super chats. Before I do that, let's do this. Hey, if you'd like to join 15,000 plus fellow patriots on X in our private X/Twitter group, go to fanfareshop.org/group. Just put in that URL in your browser. It'll take you right to our private group on X. Love to see you there. Let's share some content. And all right, the website should be back up and modified on Monday, and I'll have some mock-ups for you to take a look at of the new t-shirt. And also we're going to start the contest to get people who want to win a trip to come down here to South Florida. Probably Del Rey is what we're looking at in terms of it being the spot. Let me just move this here. All right, here we go. Please provide an email for me to reach out on behalf of Chicago Flips Red. I think a couple of the mods may have sent it to you. If not, it's showmail@fanfareshop.org. Showmail@fanfareshop.org. Thank you, Heath. Again, reached out as R Heath on X. Gotcha. R Heath, our real ID is a Bush era control. Yeah, I don't know. It's been part of our ID for quite some time. R Heath, again, thank you. Kristi Noem is being dumb, but Megyn Kelly was being petty. Indeed. Tin Lee, now I'm worried how MAGA would be once Trump's gone. Be worried. I think about that a lot. I think about that a lot. Donald Donovan, if I were in Jasmine, the Hood Rat Croc's district and had the money, I would. Not that I'd want to be in Congress. Yeah. Maximus, better remember Megyn turned on Trump at one point and is a so-called born-again MAGA person. Some of these people are in for them. You know what I mean? They're in it for them. She's not in the uniform, only the vest, America Ramirez says. CR, Christie's out there. Does she remember the trade in Mayorkas? I take the extra hair and makeup. Exactly. Maximus, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. R. Heath, Christie should not be a distraction by filming. That's the point. She should act like a boss. What about Pete Hegseth? Just saying. WOA Mortis. Barry, these other females need to stop hating. Kristi Noem is hot. All of us men love how bad woman she looks. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Maximus, pure demise will come from fighting within, not the other side. That's one of my big problems. That's one of my big problems, is that this infighting is crazy. It goes from one thing to another. CR, now they just bring it up. Exactly. Big Cat, Barry Noem is on Fox Nation shooting a lot of guns. You know, we saw, wait a minute, we saw J.D. Vance firing guns. We've seen Pete Hegseth. Doesn't make any sense. CR, sharp as attack. How many times we heard that line? Yep, over and over about Biden. Maximus, Barry, when we completely take away their ability to cheat and style, they will never win anything again. I firmly believe that. Shally Ramos, Barry, she sounded like she didn't use it. James Hammond, electricians make everything work. Skilled trades have been looked down on for years. Yep. Buddy Sanders, trespassing on military property authorizes use of deadly force by the guards. Wow. Job for 9. Very grateful to you and your team for work. All I can say is wow regarding Daniels. Yeah, Sheldon, man, if you see this, you got some work to do, bro. World Peace. The ID was signed in Bush in 2005. We've had 20 years to get it. No excuses. Huge win. Chaos. Karen says, chaos is now a rivaling threat to democracy. Every couple months they got to come out with another slogan. John, isn't chaos what Maxwell Smart was fighting? Oh my goodness, you went all the way back there. Get smart. See, that's the kind of comment when we start doing the shirts. We're just going to give out a shirt for a comment, like very pithy, as Bill O'Reilly used to say. Donna, they always copy us. First they said chaotic. We first said chaotic. Corey, Noricot, undocumented equals felony. Thought for the day. Realize by Sherry. Very nice. Robert Husbands, let's real talk. She started China population is 370. They lost 500 since 2018. Laura Gray, I smell a Sheldon Daniels rat. I hope not, but he's got some stuff he's got to do. And Neo, thank you, Barry. Great show. I am ordering my real ID. I don't even know if we have to order it. I think you just have to go to the Department of Motor Vehicles, and I think they just give it to you. I don't even think it's anything on order. All right. Oh, Mel, I didn't know that. Wow. Mel Brooks was the writer of Get Smart. I never knew that. Used to love that show. Loved that show. It was so funny. I thought it was funny. All right, guys. I got to go to dinner with Robin. She's probably going to be knocking on the door any second. Don't forget, tomorrow, 3 p.m., I will be sitting down with Ben from Veteran Biker, and we're going to talk about this military stuff and to see what the heck is going on. I hope he's got some information that he can share with it. Again, he's a wealth of information in regards to military. So I think that it'd be fun just to shoot the breeze with him. That being said, you guys have a great Saturday night, and thank you for everything, and we'll see you tomorrow at 3.